Hi guys, this is Andrea again. Today we're going to go over the Logical Reasoning Flaw Workbook page by page. So let's head right into the Daruma page and into the wish box. Here in the wish box, I wrote what I know about flaw. There's about 8 flaw questions on the test out of 50 to 51 total logical reasoning questions per test. And that's about 11 to 17% of the total logical reasoning part of the test. And supposedly, that makes flaw the most common question type on the LSATs. Regardless, since flaw is not a whole section, it makes better sense to set goals that test your ability to get as many right on this workbook. It also makes better sense that you know more about the logical reasoning section and how to set your goals around speed and accuracy. So there are about 99 to 101 questions in total on the test. And the test is segmented in 4 sections, excluding the essay section. And each section is about 24 to 27 questions long. As mentioned previously, we have 4 sections, and they are our multiple choice sections, of which 2 are logical reasoning sections, 1 critical reading section, and 1 logical games section. And you have 2 logical reasoning sections per test, of which you get 35 minutes per section. And as mentioned, it's still 25 to 26 questions long. So you get about 84 seconds per question. So let's head back to our wish box or Daruma page and record what it takes us to solve one question. So for example, it may take you on average 3 minutes to solve each question, or to be honest, when our team started in April, we're averaging about 7 minutes per question, getting half of them correct. But we are now able to solve on average 40 seconds to 90 seconds per question, and we're now at an accuracy level of 85%. Each of our average speed is a bit different depending on the question and on how much we've devoted our time to learning the process. At the end of practicing this workbook several times, we're aiming to get to 40 to 60 seconds per question, which is a very realistic goal. So start with recording your start speed and your start accuracy level when you do this workbook for the first time. I'm going to write 7 minutes. Oops. Also, record the wrong you get at the beginning of this workbook. We started with about 40% wrong per question type, and now we're averaging 95% right if organized by question type. We used to get half wrong on average, so half wrong on a random given full LR section, and now we're averaging about 4 wrong per section. That's about an accuracy level of 84% on any random given full LR section of 25 to 26 questions. And that's with our reduced speed from 7 minutes to, on average, 90 seconds per question. So going back to goal setting for our question types, and this question type flaw in particular, first focus on your ability to spot the question type. Then identify the different types of this question type and get each of the question right. Your speed will catch up. So for accuracy, I would jot down my goal in increments, starting with where I am now or where I used to be, right? So if I was starting this journey with this workbook back in April, I would have written for accuracy 50%, then 70%, then 85%, then 90%, and finally, one wrong per workbook. Which is about 95% and up correct. For speed, I would have written 7 minutes because that's where we started. Then like 3 minutes, 2 minutes. And a side note, we were stuck in 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes for a while. And then 90 seconds. 60 seconds to 40 seconds. And the reason you are aiming for 40 seconds per question is because you will get a couple questions on the test where it will take you longer, and that 1 minute when you're stuck on a question can go by so fast. So the primary goal in the beginning should be to understand how to solve the question. This is a side note, but before learning the question types, we studied the language used in logical reasoning. We studied how to construct negation statements. We had to decide on consistent annotation symbols. And we had to learn to accurately mine for the final conclusion, or FC, as well as the main premise, MP. These are skill sets needed for all the sections on the LSATs, so not just for this question type. Okay, let's flip to the next page. This is what you are learning to do and practicing for via this workbook to be 1, able to spot flaw questions from the question stem. Be able to identify the type of flaw from the blurb. And to be able to anticipate the right answer choice. What the type of flaw does wrongly will most likely surface on the correct answer choice, meaning if you know the type of flaw the blurb consists, you will most likely be able to anticipate the correct answer choice before you go search for the answer in the answer choices. So that's why you are practicing for these things. So let's look at the real next page. We have the how to study flaw section. Then we have the steps to solving flaw. And the 15 types of flaw questions listed out with a brief description of what they are. So how do we spot flaw questions? Well, these are some sample question stems for flaw. Of the following, which one constitutes the strongest objection to the reasoning in the argument? The strongest objection to the reasoning is the clue here. The reasoning in the argument is most vulnerable to criticism because the argument, so most vulnerable to criticism is the clue. Which one of the following is a questionable reasoning technique employed in the argument? The questionable reasoning technique employed in the clue is the clue here. And lastly, the argument is flawed in that it fails to consider the possibility that, so the argument is flawed in that is the clue. And by the way, the last question is the most common one. In the next page, we have the flaw types in 3 columns. The left column explains what the type of flaw is doing wrong. The middle column gives you an example of a blurb from the real test. And on the right column, you get space to jot down the final conclusion and the main premise of the blurb, as well as what makes it the kind of flaw. So, this is what you get. We do have the answer workbook with the annotations like this. Moving to the next section of the workbook, you get a practice section where you're practicing on a bunch of blurbs, your ability to identify the correct type of flaw, the final conclusion, and the main premise. Next, you get to practice full tests, full sets of questions, but organized in flaw type, so that you get exposed to how all the identification you've done translates to picking the right answer choice. And you also get to see a bunch of these types of flaw questions all at once, how they show up, how they look similar to each other, and its many variations on one page. And that makes a difference when you're studying. So this is for causation and exclusivity and on and on. And lastly, we have the mixed practice page. I really hope you join our study group, get the workbooks, they're great, and join our network of community bilinguals studying for the LSATs. The workbooks will soon become available this month, September 2020, and for a limited time to only those who get the workbooks can request video explanations of the questions you want to see solved using consistent steps and rules. And yeah, so okay, well, that's it for this video. Please leave me a comment if it was helpful. Please subscribe and like the video if you like doing that. And please stay tuned for the next video. Until next time, bye.